our tempting periods. There is no doubt, there is no group, no organization that doesn't go through turbulence. It happens that in football in Nigeria, virtually every year we go through this turbulence. But now I believe by the grace of God it is more or less over. We have gone through all the processes, election, appeals, FIFA, and I think we have got to the point now that everybody is expected to focus on what needs to be done.
All right, so that's the Honorable Minister of Sports, Dr. Tammy Nagogo, saying that now we know where we're going. That's good to hear from him. And I hope that indeed all crises are over. We can now really focus on the real development of football in Nigeria. We've made a quick change, let me tell you. And Dumnodio Konta has joined us now. Yemi Adebayo has gone to work behind the scene. Dum, welcome to Sports Tonight. Good to see you again after a long, long while. You're looking very refreshed. And we'll find out why later on the show. But let me just go to Twitter and read a few comments very quickly. Nneke Joseph AGK says it's been a blessing to have seen Thierry Henry play in this generation. He made Arsenal the brand that they are today, maybe. But the good news also is that Thierry Henry played alongside some Nigerians during his active days. At Monaco, he played alongside Victor Ikpeba. At Arsenal, he played alongside Kanu Nwankwo. So somehow, his story wouldn't be complete without the mention of Nigeria, because the Nigerian players who played alongside Thierry Henry also made their impact at that time and had an influence on his brilliant career. All right, let's come back to football in Nigeria. Dumnodi, very shortly, we'll talk about the League Bloggers Award. You were there yesterday, saw plenty of the action. But before we talk about that, let's go to Abuja. The president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, is talking about capacity building. Just a couple of days ago, 10 of Nigeria's top referees went to England to be a part of some capacity building programs in conjunction with some of the best referees in England, and they had a wonderful, wonderful experience. But Amaju Pinnick is talking about coaches this time, and is partnering with an NGO to send 17 coaches to England, where they will listen to resource persons from Germany and Belgium on match reading and backroom analysis techniques. Let's take a listen to NFF President Amaju Pinnick. We'll come back for more on Sports Tonight.
You know that if you read a match, you're going to get better result than not reading a match at all. Because if you read a match, you take statistics of exactly the kind of players that you need for that game. The kind of players you need to play Germany might not be the kind of players you need to play against Brazil. Brazil plays the milder form of football. So you might need maybe like a Mikel Obi, but you might need like a Menike. So all those are things the match that will tell you. They will analyze the game for you, tell you the pace of each player, tell you the fitness level of each player, tell you the even up to nutrition, what they need to take to play X, Y, Z. It's something very comprehensive.
All right, so that's NFF President talking about coaches. 17 of them, Dumnodi, will be going for capacity building, how to read games, and all of that in the United Kingdom. But let's come to our clubs very quickly. Enyimba, Dolphins, Warri Wolves, Kano Pillars are going to be representing us on the continent next season. CAF Champions League for Pillars and Enyimba, CAF Confederations Cup for Dolphins and Warri Wolves. But what's the story about CAF club licensing requirements and meeting up to the deadline to register for these competitions?
Well, it has got to the notice of the Nigerian Football Federation. They've given the club deadline of tomorrow to meet up this registration, to submit their player details for this competition. It's part of it. And
tomorrow is the deadline.
It's the deadline from the NFF. Because the NFF is saying if you don't finish up,
is that requirement from CAF? Is where the deadline from CAF, or is the NFF just the one putting the deadline?
I think the NFF is trying to
help them to meet the deadline.
To play the big brother or the big father role in this whole matter, to intervene, so that it doesn't become the NFF staying away when the club are suffering from their poor attitude to CAF regulations. That's what the NFF is trying to do. So, because the NFF is saying if you don't do that before tomorrow, then you bear the consequences of whether CAF is going to suspend you
or pay fine,
or you get disqualified from the CAF Confederation Cup. But then it's not the club problem. It's the problem of the structure of our football, the calendar in our leagues. Next week's Monday is going to be the fixtures for the CAF, the preliminary round. But we don't know whether the clubs in the CAF Confederation Cup will be in the preliminary round, because last season we didn't do very well. So it means that if you don't do well last season, apply for
and you consistently don't do well,
you are not going to fall in the preliminary round. You're going to be playing for team from Seychelles, team from Mauritius, team from Comoros Island, Djibouti. That's what you're going to fall into. So we don't know what that will look like, because the seasons will come out. But for Monday next week, the draws will be made. So the clubs will be aware. Even if they are not going to be part of the preliminary round, but the entire picture from the first round up to the last round before the group phase will be done on that same day. So you know your opponent. You know how you route to get into the group phase. So so they don't have to do the
both for the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup.
But the problem is, it's not the problem of the club, because when did the league end? The league ended on the 16th. The Federation Cup ended on the 23rd.
But between that time and now, Dumnodi, couldn't you have done something? Warri, for example,
1 month break. 1 month break is December 23rd.
Warri, for example, have told us that they have sent their list of 23
players
to CAF. If Warri Wolves can do it, why can't Enyimba do it? Why can't Pillars do it? Why can't Dolphins do it?
Warri Wolves as they knew this thing before the league ended, that the Continental competitions are going to start as early as possible.
Warri Wolves knew it. Enyimba didn't know.
Some of them,
didn't know.
Per club, not just every club.
I mean, but my point is this. If a club in Nigeria is doing the whole job to meet up the deadline, what has stopped the other ones from doing it?
It has to do with the calendar. Anybody just finished, they play the final of the cup.
Yeah, but does that stop you from doing what you're supposed to do? Anybody, Warri Wolves also ended the season
exactly.
just about a few days before the final game of the season.
I'm not holding fault for the other three clubs. What I'm saying is the problem of the calendar of Nigerian football.
Okay.
When you have a season and you know that the next season is going to start so and so time, it is the responsibility of the NFF, because if CAF is writing, they're writing to the NFF, not
of course,
to the clubs.
We understand that, yes.
To the clubs. So the NFF is going to be aware that this letter has come for the first time. Clubs, get ready. Send your players, sign your players. But you know how registration of players have been done in Nigeria. You go and meet a player, the club is not get a proper clearance from the club. By the time you for a Continental competition, we don't want to fall. We know the way of Rangers. We know the way of some of our clubs in the past.
My worry is this. Look at these teams on the continent. They are very experienced teams. This is not the first time they are playing on the continent. Enyimba, they were there last season. They know how it works. Pillars, the same thing.
Warri Wolves.
Warri Wolves they have sent their list of 23.
Okay.
Dolphins. These are teams that are experienced on the continent.
But you know that these are government-owned clubs. So finances from this club will come from the government.
What CAF is asking you to do in terms of meeting the requirements for registration, it's not dependent on your government.
If you have 20,
these are issues that we can work out without.
We are talking of players. Now, some of the clubs will drop. They say, we are not going to use 12 players. Maybe they registered 35 last season. We say, we can't do with 35. We are going to drop 20 players. And you are left with what? You are left with 15. And you want to register 23. You have to get 7 from other clubs.
Anyway,
how do you clear this player from the other club? You don't use players, and then somebody will send a potent that this player was not properly cleared.
Let's move on very quickly. But I think our clubs really need to do a lot more.
Exactly.
And I think that's the reason why they never be sending out the warning. Hold on. I think that's the reason why they never be sending out the warning. And I hope that by this time tomorrow, these teams will have made the requirements of the NFF. We will also send a message to CAF so that there's no issue around their registration for the continental engagement for next season. Our time is really running out, but Dumnodi, let me stay with you. This time, we're talking about the problem with our football calendar. I agree with you, there's a problem. But in spite of the problem, you should, as a club, be ready to work outside of these problems and get the result that you need. Let's talk about the Nigerian National League, because that's another issue that has come up. Today, the NFF Appeals Committee made a ruling. What exactly are they talking about? Ranchers and Kwara United have been in the news for a long time. O&D, that's the National Committee, ordered a replay in Abuja. The appeals have adjusted that verdict. What are they saying? For the remaining minutes, that's 28 minutes from when the match was stopped. That was the last game of last season. So that means that game, the remaining 28 minutes, because is it 66 minutes? So they have 28 minutes to play. Is it 62 minutes? Yes.
As I see 2 minutes, the score is 2-2.
2-2.
So from
they
there,
start to play from 2-2.
From 2-2 to the end. That's we played
in Abuja.
In Abuja.
Fresh match officials.
Fresh match officials will be given to these teams. But then the Congress endorsed the
pending. I explained it on this show.